I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. Today's episode is about LP's role in retail technology's evolution. As technology is completely redefining retail, it's critical that LP is partnering with those that are driving this evolution and integrating the loss prevention principles throughout the entire enterprise. It's also about education, collaboration, and maximizing LP touchpoints. With us today to discuss this topic is Karl Langhorst, Corporate Senior Director, Loss Prevention at the Kroger Company, and Kirk Ball, Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at the Kroger Company. Gentlemen, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You know, Kirk, with technology completely changing the face of retail, what's the role of loss prevention? How does LP fit, and how do we best serve you?
Well, I think we try to have the perspective that from a technology standpoint that loss prevention is something and security is something that we should consider in every solution that we implement in our landscape. So we try to make sure that we work hand in hand with our loss prevention partners to get their perspective on things from a security perspective, a loss prevention perspective, to ensure that their viewpoint is considered as we implement solutions, especially in store.
Mm-hmm. You know, as it relates to the payments world with NFC, mobile wallets, EMVs, chip and signature, where do you see that evolving, and how is the transition to EMV progressing, you know, nationwide in your organization, for example? Mm-hmm. And is biometrics really the answer?
That's a great set of questions. I think there's multiple questions
yes.
in there. You know, I would tell you that I think as far as payments go, I think there's still a lot of options that consumers and retailers have, and I think there's still a lot to shake out to determine what really sticks with retailers and consumers in terms of what they migrate to, in terms of volume of use. So I think there's still a lot of stories to be told, and we're obviously paying attention to all of them and trying to figure out, do we create some type of an internal wallet? Do we join with others to create a wallet? How are we going to do, you know, how's the chip and pin playing out? As it relates to EMV, we are in process of rolling out as we speak across our enterprise, and it's going very well. We obviously had quite a bit of work to do as the design specifications changed a little bit late in the game. But we've had great cooperation and great participation from folks in Kroger Technology, folks in the, in the business side, and we're coming together real nice with our solution. So I think we're going to make rapid progress towards getting it rolled out very shortly.
What's your opinion of biometrics from a standpoint of a security perspective long term?
You know, I think biometrics is a very interesting play, and I do think it has there's a part for it to play in our landscape. Whether it be on the customer side or the associate side. You know, we're in process of trying to identify the right applications for biometrics, but I definitely think we're going to be implementing biometrics.
May I ask you a question not on the list?
Yes, you may.
Facial recognition.
Yes.
How does that play into the retail world? Not necessarily from a standpoint of Kroger's perspective, completely away from that. But as a technology officer, how do you see that technology playing in the retail world?
Yeah, I think it's a very delicate balance, and it depends, I guess, on whose face you're talking about, whether it's an associate or a customer. And I do think there's a delicate balance between trying to make sure that a retailer is creating a pleasing experience by being able to recognize who is in their store, what type of shopping experience that they prefer from a positive perspective. But at the same time, customers obviously have concerns about us using facial recognition in order to identify who they are and where they are. So I think you know, video analytics utilizing facial recognition is something that we are investigating and looking at, and I do think it will have a play. The key will be to find a happy medium and a balance between customer preferences and creating a great experience by using that technology versus making sure that their privacy concerns are not infringed upon as a result of using that technology.
Which means it'll be tied into the beacons at the front of the store.
Very well could be, yes.
Yeah. Kurt, as the Chief Technology Officer, what are some of the things you look for from an LP perspective when you're looking at any technology, and how does the LP executive add value to that process?
Well, we have a very close partnership with the folks in our LP organization within Kroger. For example, we just met, we're working on looking at a returns management solution for our company, which we have a solution, but we're looking at potentially upgrading and replacing. We're pretty much joined at the hip with the LP folks to ensure that from a functionality perspective, the returns management capability gives our store associates what they need and the customer. But in addition to that, that it's also has an aspect of loss prevention considered when we make the selection of which solution that we're going to put in place. So, you know, anytime that we have a technology solution that we're looking at or thinking about implementing that has some type of a loss prevention aspect to it, we make sure that we get our loss prevention folks engaged. We've recently created our own video management solution and have been joined hip to hip with our loss prevention teammates in definition of what that innovation would look like from a requirement standpoint, and also in terms of rolling out. They are in essence our customer, but at the same time they're also a co-development partner, if you will.
You know, Karl, as the service provider to this critical piece of the business, what advice do you have for the senior LP leaders and their teams in the field, and how do they stay up to date and ensure that the LP components are integrated as technology continues to redefine retail?
That's a great question, Gus. You know, first and foremost, it's partnership, and Kirk spoke a lot about that. You have to have that partnership developed with your technology team, and you can't wait until something comes up, a project that you're running, to have that partnership developed. That's too late. You need to have ongoing dialogue. We all know technology plays a part in everything retail really is involved in nowadays. And that means that landscape's changing, if not on a weekly basis, maybe even a daily basis. And that means constant communication on those projects and making sure that you're listening what the technology department is rolling out and how that can impact your piece of the business from a loss prevention perspective. And then additionally, you've got to educate yourself, not only within the four walls of the company on what technology is rolling out, but what the industry is doing. NRF show is a great example of that. What's going on not only today, but proposed in the future. So you can get out ahead of it, have those conversations with your IT professionals and partners and say, as we're going to develop and get more involved in this, we need to be part of that, and here's why. If you don't have that education when you're bringing projects to technology, you're not going to have the credibility that they need. They don't have time to bring you up to speed on technology. You need to at least have a high level of knowledge on it.
You know, a question for both of you. With omni-retailing evolving and the lines between IT security and LP blurring, do either one of you envision an OmniLP approach in the future where the two worlds are one, so to speak?
Karl, why don't you take that first and I'll follow up.
Well, my initial thoughts are they are two specific worlds. It is blurred at times, as we well know. I certainly am not an IS security professional. That's why we have someone in that role. But at the same time, we do partner with that individual on a daily basis on any opportunities that may require a response in our facilities. We're the feet on the ground, if you will. So I don't know that if they'll ever be officially combined, and I don't know that I would say that that's the right way to go. But just like I talked about partnership and communication, if you don't have that partnership with your IS security team and be able to talk back and forth with them, sometimes on a daily basis, then you're going to be behind the curve on it, and you're exposing your company to liability that they don't need to have.
Yeah, I think a point that Karl mentioned that is important is to understand that I do think from a technology perspective there is a bit of overlap and graying of the lines that actually is very important. But on the flip side, you know, the loss prevention folks have quite a bit of experience in terms of understanding how law enforcement in a local community might work, how the laws work in terms of theft and things of that nature, as well as how to do proper training of associates in stores. That might be a set of skills that, while in the technology space we might be familiar with some of those, we're not near the experts as our loss prevention teammates are.
And it really gets back into that connectivity, Gus, just real quickly. If you've got a project that you're bringing, whether it's returns management or anything else that is going to be obviously on the network, you need to understand what those IS security concerns are before you have that conversation with a vendor. Otherwise, again, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the vendor's time, and certainly your technology partner's time.
Yeah, I think the thing that we've seen long ago was many times we'd have some of our business partners in a number of spaces bring technology companies in, get well down the path in terms of a solution on a particular technology, and then when it came time to actually put it in, implement it, it was here technology, go do this. And that would create a lot of problems and opportunities. We have a great relationship with loss prevention and many of other of our business partners, and that has allowed us to get engaged in a joint partnership right up front as those discussions begin, so that we're taking into account not only functional considerations, but also technology considerations for that particular solution that's being looked at. So it allows actually projects to move quicker and more effective.
Well, being here today speaks to the relationship that you have with LP and the value you place upon it. Last question, and I got to ask this merely for my own kind of interest. Skeet shooting season's coming. Drone security perspective. They're going to be coming by the thousands. Home delivery. It's going to start moving cargo in 5 or 10 years. Okay, your thoughts about the impact of drones on retailing and also the impact from a security perspective?
Well, I think it has the opportunity to have great impact. I think the question is whether it's positive or negative. And by that, what I mean is, how do you make sure that you're able to track where the drones are? Are they accomplishing the mission that they have? Are they interfering with other types of air traffic? How are they managed? Are they being interfered with by people on the ground? I think all those considerations have to be taken into account. So I think, though, it has tremendous opportunity to be very, very beneficial for retailers. However, I think there are a number of factors to consider when utilizing drones to do, for instance, to do home delivery. I think there's a lot of specifics yet to work out.
Karl?
Yeah, so drones, to Kirk's part, it's a good and bad. Obviously, from a security perspective, I could think of, as well as you could, a dozen scenarios that are not great for drones, be it at our stores, be it at our manufacturing or distribution centers, and I think there's already been some of those incidents in the news with other companies. But from the other side, you've got to look at what do we need to do to service the customer?
Right.
And if that's the right way we need to go, then that's what we need to take a look at.
Well, gentlemen, Kirk, Karl, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Gus.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode. We'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.